Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. So the Korean stream dropped. It is maintenance right now at this recording. So a lot of the information that I'm gonna say that I don't know the answer to may come in the next couple hours after this video recording. So of course, a lot of the thoughts may not make sense. In terms of her damage mods, I think that's gonna be the make or break for me for Tempest Surin, so ML Surin. In the Korean stream though, we do have a lot of other hype news. I'm not gonna talk about it here. It's not my style to talk about it too much, but we do have skins, we do have new characters saying that they will come down the line. So Kaorik, Charisse, that stuff is all good, and then new Abyss floors. But ML Surin, let's take a look at it really quick. So she's a Gemini thief, light elemental. She's apparently the same star sign as Fire Surin, which I was not familiar with. Comparable, if you're comparing the attack and the speed is slightly higher than the Leo class thieves. So I would say the Leo class are like kind of my go-tos for comparison on thieves. Scorpio is like up there as well in terms of DPS, because they got decent speed and then really good damage. In terms of the attack, so Leo thieves, at least at a 5-star, have about 200 almost 300 more attack than her, standing right there at 1010. But she is a 4-star, so we got to keep that in mind. Health is 5000. Arguably her defense and health won't be too necessary, but I still think that if you could get some of those stats in there, that might be okay, depending how you use her. Again, like I said, you got one more speed, I think more than Leo, and you got 27 critical hit chance. That's a very good starting point. I think classes like for what is it? I forgot what the star sign is, but Assassin Sid, for example, has a 30% critical hit chance. We know that all those crit chance rolls usually can roll really salty, really low, so it might be really hard to get there. So having it at a 27% right there is good. 12% effectiveness as well in her innate kit. That's fair. Maybe she can do debuffs, although I don't think that. Well, actually, no. She could be a debuffing thief, but I really hope she's actually a DPS thief, although her stats are not really lending to that. I think more critical hit chance means you can scale that critical hit damage higher, because she has lower base attack. Going for really high attack, like percent stats, like on the main stats and your substats, is not as important as her critical hit damage in her point. In her kit, because she scales with a unique damage scaling. Well, I'm gonna get to that. If you take a look at the imprint constitution, of course, if you do have multiple Fire Surins, I think a lot of people may have fused their Fire Surins to make her triple S, because she gives speed imprints. Speed imprints are good in terms of the imprint release. So like off the bat, unless you're like a mega whale and you haven't transmitted all your dupe Fire Surins for the silver transmit stones, most likely you're not gonna be triple S-ing her right away. But of course, 14% self-imprint attack, I think it's gonna be great. I mean, better than having effectiveness to herself, but otherwise, if you want effectiveness on the imprint release. Okay, so all of her skills does do actually I should readjust these skill slides to have the English more. There you go. So all of her skills have a damage proportional to the caster's lost health, other than the S2, because it's not a damaging skill. So that's what I mean, because she has lower base attack. Having higher crit damage would benefit her a lot more. So if you're gonna chase one of the substats, chase critical hit damage, and again, having that 27% crit chance will help you secure that crit damage necklace. Obviously, you know, the more critical hit chance, the better, but it does depend on who you're gonna go fight against. In the video where I'm taking these screenshots from, they show her fighting Arbiter Vildred, and almost only Arbiter Vildred. I find that kind of like baity. It's like she can kill Arbiter Vildred. If you are taking her into a dark fight, of course, for newer players, light versus dark, you get 15% more critical hit chance because of elemental advantage. So you could potentially run her with a lower crit rate, but 27 is very, very good. So I would definitely try to, you know, get at 100%. Yeah, so chase critical hit damage and not attack in priority. What's interesting is the S3, I don't know, I'm kind of half on this. There's an effect chance up to an additional 25 off this, so 85% chance to make the, it's an AoE skill, make the enemies unbuffable for 2 turns. 2-turn unbuffable is very good, but of course it depends on who you run them with. Most high-end fights, people will run their characters with immunity, maybe a full team of immunity. So if you take her to a GVG fight, you got to make sure you have a strip as well. Not saying that's bad, but it may lower the chance of you using her, especially in the GVG offense. Soul Burn is a 10 soul, increases the damage dealt, and you get you acquire 2 souls from this. 4-turn cooldown if you +3 this for the Molagora, but of course I think you should go for it maxed, mainly for the damage dealt. But she doesn't even have that much damage from there. If you take a look at that, that's 25%. So 25% increased damage. We've already seen this. I'm making these series of videos off the Korean streams. My Alencia analysis, my Pavo analysis, I'm saying like 30% raw damage is very low. If you couple that with a low damage mod, like a damage multiplier, you're not gonna see much coming from this. So this is her like big shot damage. You got 25% more damage dealt. Now again, like I said, this video is being recorded before we have the data mine info in terms of her mods, her base mods, and then also how much damage she gains from her lost health. We know like Kairon, for example, he does damage proportional to his lost health as well, and he does quite a bit more damage. If you get him up to like a 1% HP left, he can do quite a bit of damage, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, just keep that in mind. 25% only, 25% raw damage from the Mola itself. So we'll be in. It's a cleaving skill, so I do believe that the base mods are going to be slightly lower, but the damage proportional to her lost health may be what saves her in terms of a damage dealer. Swift movement is her S2, and this looks to be a passive skill. If the damage is okay, so basically she can't suffer any damage past 50% of her max health. Now I was mentioning this pre-recording. I was saying that, you know, what if you have an HP that ends with an odd number? So does that 50% round up or round down on the second hit of the 50%? So what I mean by that is, if she gets hit twice, lethal damage, does she die on the second hit? Right? So in the video, we only see the example of getting cleaved by RB once, and yes, of course her health stops at 50%, but again, how does that math work out? It would be interesting if they round up and not round down. So if it's on an odd number, it would be interesting that she survives with 1 HP. That would mean an interesting way to build this character, because you would literally be looking for gear to get her HP in an odd number. Isn't that interesting? I think that's quite interesting. For me, but people are saying that, yeah, most likely she just dies on the second hit, probably. In any case, in my opinion, other than her being able to do AoE, and again, tentative information in terms of the damage on her S3, I think Specialty Change Butcher does a better job. SC Butcher can do quite a bit of damage because he does damage based on his lost health, and he recovers HP with his S3 based on his damage, if I remember correctly. I think that's how his S3 works. So I mean, Butcher, generally you don't need to build him with high HP, since it's percentage based HP loss. Like, it caps him at 35. He can't exceed 35% of his health. So in terms of, like, in the video example, in terms of just taking out an RB, SC Butcher is a bit better. So I'm talking about the Chaos Inquisitor, in case people don't understand SC Butcher. And then of course an additional skill here, because I mean the 50% is not better than Butcher's, but increases her combat readiness up to 30%. So if you maxed Mola this is an additional 15% combat readiness if her health is less than 70% when an enemy's turn ends. Okay, so that's kind of cool, and it can only be activated once per turn. So I think that also means, like, even if someone doesn't do a damage skill on her, like let's say you bait away, I don't know, a Violet into a Crow, and it's her turn, like next, or she had a turn and then Violet goes in the Crow, I think she still gets the CR boost based on the reading here. Because it's not that when she gets attacked, it's just when the enemy turn ends. So she can cycle turns quite quick if you bring, like, you know, like different other elemental baits. That might be kind of cool. And then so yeah, she gets the turns and she gets her 30% CR boost, so that's kind of cool. So you may not need to build her with really high speed. You can start thinking of her with other types of gear sets, so maybe not default to a speed set. That might be interesting. Let me think, is there anything else I want to talk about this on the S2? No. Yeah, so my big question really is the 50% does not exceed 50% of her max health, but I am pretty sure that she will die in 2 hits. So 2 lethal hits, she will die on the second one. It would be interesting if she does survive with that 1 HP though. And then the last one we got an S1, acquires 1 soul, it's called Lunge, has an additional 15%, so it makes it 50% to inflict 2 bleed for 2 turns. So kind of like her original counterpart, so her fire form. Damage dealt again proportional to the cast of lost health. This is a single target. I'm assuming that this is going to be a higher mod, and it does depend on the damage scaling from the HP lost on this one. Although I do suspect that this one will be slightly lower than the S3 in terms of the health loss damage scaling, but I think in the overall attack scaling, this is going to be a bit higher. Maybe by like 0.2 or something, so 20%. Damage dealt. This also ends up at a 25. So overall, pretty low Mola in terms of like raw damage. So clearly, I think you can see that she's not meant to be a like high-end damage dealer. I think she is meant to take out those RBs, so to speak. So here we have an example of this. Now I took the screenshot because I felt that this was kind of fishy, just because, like, if you look at the damage on the enemies, I just noted this while I was watching this, but it's like 50% on Alencia, on Angelica, and on Fire Maya. So like, how much of this was staged to make it look like, oh wow, she can take on RB? And again, I have no doubts that she can kill RB. RBs aren't usually like super tanky anyway, and I don't think they have a damage mitigation right there in that screenshot. But regardless, it's still really fishy. It's like too perfect. It's too perfect. Yeah, so in terms of like my thoughts, in terms of like builds, right now I think a lot of people are thinking lifesteal set right away. I think so too, but it does depend. Like I'm thinking that she's gonna have trouble going into teams with like multiple cleaves in a row. So like at least in a GVG formation, usually you see RB with like maybe an MLCC, maybe a Charles. Maybe Charles goes first, or maybe MLCC goes first. Regardless, if there's enough damage to knock her down, she's not gonna survive. So I mean, the 50% max HP, it stops there, and then by the second cleave it's gone. Maybe an SSB in there too, I don't know, I have no idea. But those are kind of like what I'm thinking of in terms of like the meta comps. So I mean, as a 4-star, like if we compare to the previous new 4-star, which is ML Roman, I suppose she's one. I think people are saying that, oh, because she's waifu, so that's kind of cool. But otherwise, I'm kind of like, okay, so I'm kind of skeptical. I do think that because she's a 4-star though, her damage mods might not be that bad. It seems that Smilegate is kind of playing around with like making 5 stars seem like really kind of like bad at first, but then 4 stars, they're generally not too shy of making them a bit strong. Although I can't really think of one lately that has been really good. A 4-star ML. Got ML Roman, ML Crozet. ML Rin, I would consider it as the new batch. They're all not like super crazy, actually, now that I think about it. Don't think we have a damage dealer one. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like ML Roman, I think a lot of people are disappointed by him. So I don't know. Yeah, we will have to see. Her whole thing right now is like her kit. To me, it's like, okay, that's cool. It's not super crazy, but her mods will determine whether she's good or not. I've been debated too much with the Alencia's news release, and then having low damage mods, and then Pavel's release, and then having low damage mods. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is low damage mod either, but I do think that she deserves it. Otherwise, I don't think that people will really use her. And again, I do say this because you know, there's a lot of YouTubers, content creators, people want to make new heroes, showcase videos. I get it. There's always going to be someone who gears them up really well and showcase like, well, this is so cool. But again, my advice is I don't think that it's worth it. I don't know. Would Wind Rider pair well with her? If you're gonna take her into an RB fight, probably not. The chances of RB hitting her again will be highly likely with the S1. Yeah, and yeah, she would need to kill someone off. Yeah, so I'm reading the stream chat. She would need to kill someone off first with the Wind Rider to activate. So I think lifesteal set would work. Potentially would work. As long as you have some speed subs in there. But it's super weird. It's super weird. Lifesteal set would be nice. Depending on her mods, if she has low base attack mods, but very high, like very high base damage, like HP loss mods, then potentially a destruction set might be cool. I don't know. I really don't know. Oh, that's good. Actually, I give a shout out to Emblem here. Shepherd of Chaos might be good. Yeah, because you will lock in some evasion. Maybe. I don't know. Actually, I would probably still go with like... Can't be Violet Talisman. RNL would be good if you have a lifesteal set. You just kind of like get more HP back, perhaps. Yeah, Shepherd of Chaos is limited. And Dreamblade. Yeah, well, Dreamblade's kind of like... Yeah, if you really want to save her... Hold on. Wait. Damage suffered in one attack does not exceed 50% of her max health. Oh, okay. So it doesn't... Okay. It's the number. So if she has 9,000 health, it's 4,500 damage maximum she can take in one hit. Okay. So it doesn't stop her from it. Yeah, so a Moonlight Dreamblade can help. I mean, anything can help her for surviving, and I think she needs to survive. In my opinion, I think the biggest letdown, the bleed on the S1 to me doesn't really matter. But the S3, the unbuffable, how do you guys feel about this? 85% chance. 85% chance to do 2 unbuffable for 2 turns. Or sorry, unbuffable for 2 turns. I don't know. S3 sucks? Yeah, I think so. I really do think so. I mean, SSB has unbuffable and unhealable, but I know she's not like a 5-star. I get it, but 85% chance to proc it too is very weird. Needs to be 100% is stripped like Basar. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I don't know. Like, if there was a debuff, I would rather see instead of unbuffable. I think I would rather have a like attack down or a hit chance down, like the blind debuff. But again, I mean that's just us like thinking we're smarter than the game developers, you know. It's like, listen to us. She should have these debuffs. But yeah, I don't know. Unbuffable. We'll have to see. I just don't see her skill sets like really gelling well with anyone. it's kind of like where this is where I think specialty change Butcher also has a problem. It's like, other than you having Elbrus on him and that you can maybe dispel with him because his S1 dispels, they're really like, he doesn't have any chemistry with anyone, like except to being a bait. Oh, I should note that, I guess, if you wanted to like bait, I suppose, like a dark hero, I mean, she can do it for one turn. I suppose that's one of her usefulness. Soulburn should ignore effect resistance. I think increasing the damage dealt gives me a slightly higher, what do you call it, hope, higher hope that her HP loss scaling could be pretty high. I think she could be. I mean, she's a thief, she's squishy. If she doesn't have damage and she doesn't support and she doesn't debuff really well, she has to have damage. So I'm hoping that's the case. But anyways, we'll find out in a couple hours. I'm gonna end this in terms of my thoughts here as for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.